Linda D. Wattley, how are you?
I am doing really great to be a person waking up this early in the morning. Trust me, I am not a morning person, but I said I have to get up for this.
Well, I'm glad that you did. I'm going to do a few things that I have to do here at the station, and we'll be kicking off shortly, so just hang out with me.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I'll be right there, guys. Hey, oh, Deb, come on in. I thought you were the radon test guys.
The who test guys?
Didn't you see the paper Sunday? The Surgeon General issued another warning.
Oh, like the cigarette warning?
Exactly. Only now they're saying radon causes lung cancer. For non-smokers like us, radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer.
You're kidding me, right? I have a smoke-free home and my family can still get cancer from radon?
Yep. That's why the Surgeon General says every home should be tested for radon.
But I don't smell any radon in my house.
No, nobody can smell radon. It's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. It just comes up from underground and seeps into your house.
Oh, great.
No, hey, it's no big deal. Even if they find high levels of radon, it can easily be fixed. My brother just had his house fixed. Now that's the radon test guys.
So how did you find them?
First, you go to the EPA website.
Learn more. Visit the EPA at epa.gov/radon. That's epa.gov/radon.
Mommy, I'll get it.
Oh, I'll be right there.
Me too.
Hey, parents of children with asthma, here's another hit from the Breathe Easies.
Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke around the kids in the house. Don't smoke in the car. Don't smoke in the house. Don't break my heart with your secondhand smoke in the kids and get triggered the asthma.
Preventing asthma attacks can be as simple as making your home and car smoke-free zones. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
Happy birthday.
No, wait. Oh,
to you. Happy birthday.
Dear Rose, who still hasn't sent me lasagna.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marilyn Monroe.
Woo! All right, Marilyn, and back to your grave.
The Brave Babes, Thursdays from 7 to 9, only on Brave New Radio.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
I've gotten everything I needed to get done for the FCC and for the studio, got all my paperwork together, got all of our sharing in terms of our public service announcements to make sure that you are aware. My guest for the 7:30 hour is on the line with me, and we are about to kick off. As I kicked off the 6 o'clock hour, I told you the show this morning is dedicated to the life and celebration and memory of the Reverend Dr. Albert Prince Rowe. Reverend Rowe was pastor of the Calvary Baptist Church in Paterson, New Jersey for more years than I can remember. Probably close to 50 years, if not more. Certainly, if it didn't hit the 50-year mark, it's darn close. For as far as I can remember, Reverend Rowe has been the pastor of Calvary Baptist Church. He passed away on, I believe, either yesterday or either very early this morning. And I had the opportunity to see Reverend Rowe on Thursday, as he was one of our fraternity brothers of our great fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. A bunch of us brothers got together on Thursday and visited as a group, as an alpha group, as a fraternity group. And we had the opportunity to chat with Reverend Rowe. He was somewhat incoherent. He was in and out. But we asked him, because we have a fraternal hymn. And we said, Reverend, would you like us to all sing the hymn together? And he immediately responded, yeah. That's how he responded. He said, yeah. And during the time because generally when we sing the hymn, we usually hold hands and we get in a circle as we're singing our fraternal song. And he was struggling to try to get his hands up throughout the entire song. We saw him trying to get his hands up. And finally, as we got near to the second verse, he got his hands off the covers and he got his hands up and he was able to join into the circle from his hospital bed. And we continued to sing the Alpha hymn. And that was the last time on Thursday evening that we all got an opportunity to see Reverend Rowe. And so for me, it was special because I was one of the ones on the end actually holding his hand. I was on one end holding his hand, and Dr. Joe Fulmore was on the other end holding his hand, and we had formed the circle as we sang the song. So really, Reverend Rowe had an opportunity to have his final Alpha meeting with us because he's one of the founders of the Paterson chapter of Delta Mu Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. He was one of the founders of that chapter. So it was just very fitting that a group of us would be there and had the opportunity to sing the hymn with him one last time. Our prayers and thoughts go out to his family, to Dorothy Rowe, and to the rest of his family. He will be missed because he was an integral part of the Paterson, New Jersey community as he served on the city council at one point. As I said, Paterson, New Jersey, in terms of churches, Calvary Baptist Church is one of the more prominent churches in the city of Paterson, New Jersey. So we were talking funerals this morning with Munira. I am positive that is going to be a huge funeral, whenever those arrangements are completed. This I know, that the church will be packed, because Reverend Rowe was known all over the world. But I knew him as Reverend Rowe. I've known him as Brother Rowe, known him as Councilman Rowe. And so, again, the show this morning is dedicated to his life and memory. Also, you heard me say on last week, matter of fact, Linda was supposed to be my guest on last week, but I had to rearrange because they changed my daughter's graduation date. Her date was actually supposed to be tomorrow. But in the Delaware area, they do stock car racing. And the stock car race was scheduled for this weekend. So the president of the university said, I am not going to contend with that. And he changed the graduation date from this weekend to last Saturday. And I had to get in touch with Linda to say, is it all right for us to reschedule? Because now I need to go down to Delaware to attend my daughter's graduation. And attend I did. Last Saturday at this time, I was there. And she graduated last week from Delaware State University with a degree in information technology, summa cum laude. And I was proud. She had straight A's. Wound up close to a 4.0. I think she told me it was a 3.81 or close to a 4.0 grade point average. So I was thrilled and thankful to God and proud of her. But yes, she graduated Dell State University last Saturday, summa cum laude. So Niara Simone Medley, I am proud of you. So this show will also be co-dedicated to your graduation. So we have two celebrations, two different types of celebrations, but celebrations nonetheless. And my guest in this hour, already on the line, she called in right on time, is Linda Diane Wattley. She is a published writer who began her first work of art with poetry. The poem I Wish appeared in the Poetry Gem of the American Poets Society. For over 12 years, she had her own religious philosophical column in the Frost Illustrated newspaper titled The Best Will Show Themselves. In her weekly column, Wattley shared a unique voice revealing her understanding of the heart of God. Heading into her 13th year of writing, she realized God had imparted a message to her to share with the world. This message was founded on love, all right now, and God's desire for his people to know him individually and wholeheartedly. Knowing the power of words, she writes for readers to experience instant spiritual transformation. Wattley established her spiritual foundation based on Matthew 6:33, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things shall be added unto you. With this in mind, she acquired knowledge pertaining to God and spiritual matters by reading over 1,000 books and counting, of course, first and foremost, the Bible. Along with the personal search of knowledge, she attended the University of Akron studying courses in psychology, sociology, and writing. Her greatest accomplishment is her satisfaction of knowing she was obedient to God. Wattley has appeared as a contributing writer for the online magazines, including Faith Writers, The Right Side of Me, that's WRIGHT, Side of Me Productions, The Blessed Room, and Cheers, where she shared inspirational and thought-provoking messages to readers. She is also a contributing author to many anthologies, The Triumph of My Soul, edited by Elisa Gabriel, and This Far by Faith with Vanessa Miller as editor. Wattley's heartfelt desire is to use her gifts and talents to assist in the healing process of victims who have experienced all forms of abuse. She is known for her healing trilogy, Something About an Angel, Deeper Than Love, and This Thing Called Love. This series was for those who have been abused and those who love them and would like to understand the soulful altering experience. When Wattley is not writing, she enjoys her family, mother Jacqueline M. Bushner, sons Robert D. Wattley III, Marcus, all right, M-A-R-C, all right, Marcus, daughter-in-law Katie, and her granddaughters Jalen and Mila. Or is it Mila? Is it Mila or Mila?
Mila.
It is Mila. Okay, well, Linda, welcome to the Reading Circle microphone.
Thank you.
All right, so let's glad to have you. So let's go to begin. Did you write as a child or did you write as a youngster?
I used to write things, but I never shared them with anybody, especially poems. I just enjoy words. It's just something about words that always kept me relaxed. My English was my favorite class.
So were you an avid reader as a child?
Well, basically, I started reading because I was really trying to understand life. And so when I first got my library card, I used to stay at the library and I would just walk in the library just to see where I would end up at. And the books that I was accumulating led me to understand I had to get with God and his son, Jesus Christ. But I didn't start there because I didn't know any better, but that's where all the knowledge and wisdom that people who were spiritual and, psychological about searching life out seemed to end up with talking about, love, God, spirituality, heaven, and those was the reasons why I took an interest in God, because I wanted to understand why I was here. So reading became my means of, learning, because I didn't get it from my family background.
Right. That, now, and this kind of dovetails to what we were just talking about in Munira's interview earlier, in terms of who we are and the spiritual side of us. And so, did you start out writing poetry, or were you writing short stories, or what was the progression?
But when I first started writing, when I really became to be known besides by myself, it was because I was in a state of unhappiness, depression. I didn't know it was depression, because when you're a child, you don't know you're depressed.
Right.
You just know something is wrong. And see, I was brought up in a very domestic violent environment, molestation,
wow,
rape, identity crisis. And so one day when I was working as an adult, I was at a third shift job, and I just put my hands on my keyboard, and next thing I know, I wrote a trilogy. And in the trilogy, I was hiding myself in characters. And I didn't realize that's what I was doing at the time. But when I had finished, I was really, really traumatized, inside out, everything shattered. I almost had a nervous breakdown because my writing exposed my inner soul. I didn't even know that's what was happening. God was blessing me, beginning my healing journey that took years. But first, he had to show me what was inside of me. And so when I started writing, it's like I wrote 1, then 2, then 3. And it was like, wow, I was fascinated with it, because I wrote novels. And I don't even read novels, because I was into self-help books, spiritual books. And the next thing I know, I'm writing this trilogy. And it was actually my life in those characters. And it was showing me the damages that I had, the way I was misinterpreting life, and why I wasn't productive and, experiencing a high quality of joy and happiness that you're supposed to experience in you. So I learned that inside of us is so much.
Right.
But God blessed me, and I said, wow, God blessed me to be able to interpret my inner self, that part of me that people have, but people don't know how to interpret. Some people can do it, some people can't. But the blessing comes when you can interpret it and share it with other people, because it's real, it's raw, it's uninhibited. It's not from outside of you, it's from inside of you. And it teaches you how powerful we are on the inside. And people are getting it wrong, and that's one of the things my writing do. It shows that God wants his people to know that you really are greater on the inside than you are on the outside. And the inside is what's ruling your world. It is where your real power is. And when you ignore it, that's when your whole life is out of balance and you experience the negativity of life. You are lesser than what God made you to be, because he made us equipped with the unseen. He wasn't really trying to make us equipped with the unseen. He was making us equipped and empowered with the unseen. But people have it kind of backwards. We're so physical that we're getting away from that aspect of us that belongs to God.
Absolutely.
Part of us. That's why, my most recent work, Soldier with a Backpack, Living and Dying Simultaneously, that backpack is everything that you take when you leave here.
Wow. And you are so right in terms of, let me say it this way. For those of us in the listening audience, if you are what we call, quote unquote, a believer, in other words, we believe in God or we believe in Jesus, a lot of times many people think that because you are a believer or because you believe in God or because you believe in Jesus, that you will not go through anything negative. And that's not true. But the flip side of that is, in many cases, a lot of the things that we go through negatively that are really bad experiences, it's not so much about us, and that's where the hard part comes. It's really about, as you just said, what's within us, and then our ability to go out and help somebody else understand that you can make it, and let me tell you why. You can make it because I made it through the power of God. And that's where a lot of things that happen to us, we don't really understand why we're going through it. And then when we get a chance to testify or write a book or share our story with other people, that's when people come back to you. And I'm sure you've had this experience like, wow, I didn't know, or either your book really blessed me, or because I read what you went through, now I believe I can go through. Have you had that experience?
It's amazing. I am just so touched by God that he used me as an instrument, because he taught me the inner language. You know, he taught me the connection of what connects me to my fellow man. It's unseen. And it's like when people are reading my book now, it's like we're connecting spiritually. And what God revealed to me is he's gathering his church, and he's gathering it from the inside out.
Right.
And people don't understand that because they're so emotional and so mental. But he wants us to understand that he is spirit. You have to be able to interpret and understand his language so that you don't be a victim in this world, but a victorious person in this world. But you can't do it just in your own might of your own knowledge and your own decisions. You have to really, really be connected in a conscious way that you are a spiritual being having a physical experience.
Yes.
Not a physical being having a spiritual experience.
Yes.
No. That's why we are falling apart as his people. People are not owning the spiritual part of themselves and refining it and keeping it unvexed. They just act like a sentence.
Right.
I'm God is spirit, I'm spirit, and that's it. No, that's a way of life. That's an identity that's supposed to be more known to you than your physical activity.
You're absolutely right. And that whole line that you just said there, I've always loved that line in terms of us being a spirit having a physical experience versus the other way. Because most people really do believe, or many people, or too many people really believe it's the other way around, where we're physical having a spiritual. No. Right now, you're here on the face of the earth for an allotted period of time to have the spiritual experience in a physical body. And then once, and this is what we were talking about in the earlier hour, once that body piece is done, your spirit continues to move on. Energy never dies. And people don't get that. That's why what we do on the spiritual side, like there's an old song that say, only do what you do for Christ will last. That's what that song is talking about. And we talked about, one of the books that I kicked off the show in the 6 o'clock hour was talking about how we focus so much on cars and money and houses and sneakers and all this physical stuff that really don't matter. And what you're talking about here is the things that really do matter is love.
And people are getting so far away from it because God is love, and people are just taking it lightly. They don't even talk about it anymore. They're more into their religious aspects of life and not the spiritual aspect, which is being God present. You know, like people sense him more than they sense you. Because like I say, he said, in my Father's house there are many mansions.
Right.
Your spiritual conscious is where you're going to fit in some part of heaven. And if you're not aware of it, you might be at the bottom end of the pole. And you could be at the top end of the pole, but it's going to be determined by your conscious awareness of spiritual presence that God has for his people. And it's like it's a way of life. Like when I say soldier with a backpack, living and dying simultaneously, that is becoming aware of yourself with God. You know, that part of you that's going to walk with God, not with the world. And when you have that, life takes on a whole different meaning. Like in my book, I'm talking about post-traumatic stress disorder. And what post-traumatic stress disorder is bringing out in people's lives is the reality of the power of the unseen.
Right.
It is like amazing wound that people can't see, but it controls their life.
No, it's true. And I'm going back to, like I just referenced it. Matter of fact, I'm going to go back since, because this is why I know there's something bigger than you and I. This is why I know there's a higher power. This is why I know there's a God, because there's too many times on a Saturday morning where we haven't spoken with each other, or the things in terms of like something I may have read where it connects exactly to something that was said. And this is the case where you were just talking about. What I read this morning for May 14th out of the book, The Power of Being Thankful, 365 Devotions for Discovering the Strength of Gratitude by Joyce Myers. For today, she said, most of the things we devote our time and energy to are things that are currently passing away, things that will not last. We strive to make money, build businesses, achieve great accomplishments, be popular, own buildings, cars, and jewelry. We want to expand our minds and see the world, yet all of these things are temporal. They will all come to an end. Only love never comes to an end. An act of love goes on and endures forever. Thankfully, God allows us to have a lasting impact when he asks us to love others. Henry Drummond says that to love abundantly is to live abundantly, and to love forever is to live forever. In order to love abundantly and love forever, I encourage you to first receive God's love for you, then you can walk in love toward everyone else. And this is exactly what you were just talking about.
That is well said. Wow.
And I read that this morning to kick off the show in the 6 o'clock hour. And now here you come right along in the 7:30 hour and are saying the same thing. This is why I know God speaks.
That's why we're one.
Absolutely. No, it really is. And you were talking about your experiences as a child, and you would not believe the high percentage of guests and authors that I have on the air that have come through some type of abuse, particularly in their childhood. And the bulk of my guests are females. It just kind of falls that way. And a lot of them have gone through some type of molestation or rape or some type of abuse at home or domestic violence. And yet they've come through. And a lot of them, as you said, put it down on paper, because that's almost like a catharsis. That's a therapy. That's a way of getting it out. And it's also a way, like you said, when people read your book to say, wow, that really blessed me, that really touched me, that connected me, so forth and so on. I see you have a bunch of different titles. I see this thing called love. I see deeper. What is that? Deeper
than love.
Deeper than love. There you go. I was trying to read up on the computer. Something about an angel. I see Daddy's Girl. Is Daddy's Girl you also?
All those books is me. That's the trilogy that I was.
That's the one. So all of them are you. And then I see Soldier with a Backpack.
See, the thing about it, those first three books you had mentioned to me to show you the traumas and spiritual warfare that one experiences, do you know that that trilogy was stolen from me? I never received not one royalty. Not one.
Wow.
And so, you know, the victimization continued. That's why I was talking about PTSD. It's like the victimization, it's like it continues because you have it in your vibration, because you haven't been healed yet. So it just continues to draw itself. And it showed me how powerful the unseen is. That's how I was starting to learn. I learned it from a negative. But God showed me the positive when he showed me what was going on, how our vibration, which is our spiritual self, our soul, draws unto itself. And if you don't change or recognize your vibration and take control of it, you're in a spiritual warfare that you're on the wrong side and don't even know it.
That's correct. And there's a title for it, and it sounds like what you're talking about, or if it's not the same, it's very similar. It's called Law of Attraction. And I deal with that and try to help folks understand that in terms of that vibration you're talking about is like a magnet. It will attract to you. Whichever vibration you're sending off, whichever energy you're sending off will attract that same type, if not more, back to you. So let's say, for example, you're vibrating negatively. Guess what you're going to draw back into you? Negativity. If you are attracting, or if you're vibrating positively, 9 times out of 10, you are going to attract back positivity as well. A lot of people struggle with that. They don't realize that what they're putting out is what's causing what they're getting back.
Well, see, what they don't realize is the unseen, when you talk about spiritual vibration or whatever terms you choose to use it has not anything to do with logic. It's not saying if it's good or bad. It's just saying I'm alive.
Right.
And I am expanding. I am drawing. It's not asking what's right or wrong. It's just producing.
Right. You're absolutely right. Last night at my school, we did a variety show, and the title of the show was The All That I Am Experience. And we titled the show that, and we tried to help the kids understand, and I opened the show with this and closed it with it, that anything you put behind the words I am, you become, or either you are. So that's why it's so crucial in terms of the words that we use. Back to that vibration you're talking about. It is crucial to be very careful of what you put behind the words I am. In the Bible, you hear God say, I am that I am. All right. So it's very critical what you put behind those two words. So if you're telling yourself, I am stupid, I am fat, I am dumb, I am ugly, I am, whatever you put behind I am is what you become. It also works on the positive level. So all the kids did a little artwork. One said, I am a musician. I am love. I am a this. I am that. And it was all something positive. And the artwork was beautiful. The show last night was beautiful. I loved it because the children had an opportunity to express themselves in song, spoken word, and dance. And really, it was a job well done to help build the kids' self-esteem. Because I'm with you in terms of the vibrations of what we put out. That's why, for me, I love to laugh and play. I really do. I love to laugh. I love to play. I love to try to look on the positive side of things. I'm kind of like that eternal optimist. That's not to say I don't fuss. That's not to say I don't get angry and sometimes don't get discouraged. But for the most time, I like to put out that positive energy. And people pick up on that. They can feel it.
You definitely need it in this world.
That's for sure. I mean, it's the premise that you're talking about is the same thing that's operating this radio station. The same way that people all around the world can hear us is through signals, is through energy. It's the same thing. People put off a signal. They put, and like you said, it's unseen. That's the thing. You cannot see it, but folks know.
It's powerful.
It really is. If you just joined us, my guest is Linda Diane Wattley. She's the author of several books, and that's what we're talking about this morning. She's appeared in various newspapers and blogs, and she actually has a trilogy, and that's what we're talking about this morning. So get on all of your social media sites and let someone know that Linda Diane Wattley is on the air with me. So, Linda, in terms of your writing, when do you find yourself writing? I mean, do you have a special time of day, or is it whenever the spirit moves, or when do you find yourself putting your thoughts down on paper?
It's always as the spirit moves, because I didn't even know I was going to write a book last year that's very productive this year. I thought I was pretty much into my own world now, because I hadn't written since the trilogy. It was like about almost 10 years ago. And the next thing I know, I'm writing Soldier with a Backpack, Living and Dying Simultaneously. And it pivoted off of post-traumatic stress disorder because my oldest son, he served 2 terms in Iraq. And by his second term, he was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. And so what I have here is a mother and son with PTSD. But I didn't know that I was going to write about it. But he had an episode, Mark, where I didn't know if my son was dead or alive for over 3 hours.
Wow.
Because they have episodes that sometimes there's no return, because PTSD have you living in a real abyss.
Right.
Always waiting for you. Always waiting for you. And people don't understand that. I mean, I could be talking to you right now, trying to keep myself from sliding down in that abyss, and you have no idea of it.
Right.
And so when this last episode happened, I started doing a deeper research on it because I wanted the clinical understanding. What did the military come up with? And then God took over the book. He said, I want my people to know how powerful they are in the unseen. And I want you to explain to them how they can go in and come back out being what I made them and not what the world is trying to make them to be.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are not familiar with post-traumatic syndrome, that is, and it's interesting that we would bring that up because in the community that I serve, the school that I'm the principal in sits in a community where there's a lot of violence. And I was having this conversation the other day with somebody who said a lot of our kids are going through post-traumatic syndrome because they've literally seen their loved ones gunned down in the street or gunned down at home. And so when we're dealing with them, trying to get them to learn about 2 + 2 = 4, there's a lot, like you just said, that slide that we may not even know about. They may be going into the abyss and we don't even know it, and then we wonder what's driving that behavior. But I literally have kids who have lost uncle. The other day, earlier this week, I'm walking through the playground and the young lady has a necklace on with the photo of somebody that said R.I.P. And so I stopped her and I said, "Who is that on your necklace, in your photo?" She said, "That's my uncle." Young man, I mind you, because the kid was only in his 20s or so. And I said, "Well, what happened to him?" She said, "He got shot." So I was like, wow. And I just kind of said, wow, I'm really sorry to hear. And I just kind of had to walk away from her for a minute. But I'm saying, like, my kids at my school, there is a number of them that have lost loved ones to street violence. And so we were saying how a lot of our children really are suffering from post-traumatic syndrome. And that's when the stress of the negative is so strong that you literally can think it's happening. You can like for a soldier could be sitting home on their couch and think somebody's shooting at them. They could be home and something goes off on the television, a loud noise, and they think someone has dropped a bomb. I'm just giving you examples of what can happen when you have that. Something that's very normal because they've come so accustomed to it in fighting the war that when they get home and that's not going on in their mind, the war is still going on. So the ringing of the doorbell or the knocking on the door or somebody drops something on the floor, they think that's like a part of the war. And their reactions, right, it's a trigger. That's exactly right. And their reactions are the same way they might be if they were in the war setting.
And, when you was talking about those children, see, my post-traumatic stress disorder came from my childhood. And the sad thing about it is there's so many people who go undiagnosed and they become adults. And they get judged so harshly because they're unproductive in society. Right. But they are holding on to their insides because they're fragmented. It's like they can't do them both and be well at both. Some of them is trying to make sure they don't destroy. Some people will just go ahead and destroy. It all depends on their makeup or what triggered, their PTSD that's undiagnosed. But it has an effect on people. And, I wanted to say, too, like females, especially those who've been abused in their childhood, I mean, even boys, but people always say how angry women are or how emotional and sensitive they are. But a lot of them are traumatized and damaged from their experiences. They have the PTSD and don't even realize it. And people think that their personality is, distorted or something wrong with them. And really it is, but they don't know that that's not their true self that God made. They don't realize the damages that this world has done to the soul. They don't realize that they've been altered. They're not the soul development that God made them to be. And see, what happens is layers and layers and layers of PTSD draws to itself, too, because like we was talking about those vibrations, like a sound is like a vibration to memory. That's why you don't even have to think about it. It's that vibration that's connected to that soul already existing that triggers all these reactions. Just like we was talking about that energy. It's like that field is like it's going home. It's recognizing that it can connect.
Right.
And you sitting there just in your physical body that's supposed to be so powerful in the world and can't do anything.
No, it's true. And you hit on a very interesting point there in terms of, and because I always tell people, our childhoods, the formative years are so critical that if something really horrific happens in those formative years or the young years, it could impact the rest of your life. And the fact that you just said you may have PTSD and don't even know it, that is true. And what that does now is it messes up relationships. It messes up so many things of something that people don't even know anything about. Like, why are you so angry? Why are you so moody? Are you bipolar? Do you have this? What's driving your behavior? And you just kind of hit on something that could be the answer, that something happened in that childhood that we don't know anything about. And the person may not even realize how much the incidents have been impacting them. And that's crucial. That's critical because there are a lot of people that are behaving in a lot of ways. And the other side of that is, as parents, we don't know what we're doing to our children when they put them in those kind of positions. I had a child in my office the other day that whenever the social worker was asking him questions, it dawned on me that they're homeless. I didn't know it until I started hearing the social worker ask the questions. So when the child left, I said, are they homeless? Are they displaced? And she says, yes. And my reaction was, I cannot in my wildest dreams imagine being a 12-year-old child having to deal with those type of issues. Because not only do we expect you when you come to school to do 2 + 2 = 4, they're dealing with all those outside issues that no child, it's bad enough we have to deal with them as adults. But a child, the childhood, we only get one childhood. And that should be the best times of our life. And for many, it's not.
Trust me, I know.
Well, you say, trust me, I know. I mean, and it's and for me, let me see how I want to put this. I was truly blessed because what I thought was the norm as a kid, as I grew older, found out was not the norm in terms of 2 parents, me and my sister. We didn't have like the richest, but we weren't the poorest either. I didn't even know we would be considered poor, so to speak, until I got older. But I would not have known that. And in the last hour, I was telling the story about I didn't break down when my father passed away until I was cleaning out his dresser drawer and came across one of his pay stubs, not realizing how little he made based on everything that we did, because me and my sister really didn't want for anything. And of the kids on the block, we were always the go-to house, the go-to for the baseball or the football or the wrench or fixing the bike or can we ride your bike? Or this. So on the block, we were always kind of that kid. Most of the kids I grew up with were in single-family homes, just their mom or abusive situation, this and the other. But I thought the way me and my sister grew up was the norm, not realizing until I started talking to other people and over the years doing this show that, wow, I was blessed more than I could possibly imagine. And that's not bragging or boasting. It's just that I didn't know any different, and I thought everybody lived that way. But come to find out, more people lived on the abuse side than on what would be considered the norm side. So when I say I can't imagine what it was like for a child to have to go through what I see the kids that I serve going through, and I try to help the teachers understand all the time, please, do not constantly berate these kids, look down on them, because you do not know what they're going through just to get to the school building.
And you know, like I was widowed young, and I have 2 sons. And, you know, I didn't have a Bible, a parental Bible to live with. And when I say a Bible, a parental Bible, as a parent, we are the first Bible our child has.
Right.
You're telling them what life is. And I realized the importance of that responsibility because when you read my books, I break down how I prepare my children for a future of success. Because of what I didn't have,
right,
I used that as a yardstick. But God, oh my goodness, the way He helped me bring up those sons is amazing. When you allow God to help you where
absolutely
you were be helped by others, it's amazing how He restores your ability to do what He wants you to do for what He has given you responsibility for. And I am amazed of the parent He allowed me to be. And I wrote that in my book, the importance of the things that they should know and have in their backpack in case I'm not here, because sudden death was something that I experienced time and time again. I mean, I had 2 sudden deaths in 1 year.
Oof.
My oldest son dropped with a heart attack at age 20 on my mother's birthday. And that same year, my best friend, a car crushed him. And I was just a junior.
So then you know of what I speak then. In terms of the kid, because like I shared earlier, I have a 6th grader who lost 2 brothers in the span of 10 months. One got hit by a car, and the other one got killed on a motorcycle where he hit a car. But in the span of 10 months, the mother lost 2 sons. And this particular kid's in 6th grade, lost 2 brothers. But that's, I mean, again, you said something in terms of preparing your kids to be successful in life. As parents, that's our job. And I know our kids get angry with us. I know my girls, they get tired of hearing Dad. They get tired of hearing me. I know they do, and I don't care. Because that is our jobs, is to prepare them to be able to function in life.
And see, the thing is, what I equip my boys with what's the unseen aspects
Right.
of survival. See, that's what's missing. We can clothe them, feed them, give them money, make them happy with materialism, but a lot of parents are not equipping them on the inside
Correct.
to exist in a world that is after them. And one of the most important things that I instilled in my children was to make sure that they knew who they. I told them, I can't be you, you can't be me, but we can introduce each other to each other no matter what that is. If we are going to be together as one, we have to know each other in capacity.
That's
It's
right.
like we move as one unit because we know each other. We know when one is coming up short or one needs encouragement or be left alone. We move like in a one unison. Even to this day, and they're adults and they have their lives, we still know just from the vibration we created as a collective when one is in danger or one is in need of, of support or whatever it may be, or just to celebrate or just know good is around them or know that something negative is around them because we instilled that with each other from the foundation.
That's absolutely right. Now, I need to take a short break, but those of you in the listening audience, you know the deal. We don't go anywhere, and the only thing I need you to do is to share on all of your social media sites that I have Linda D. Wattley on the line with me. Then you need to hear this interview because what she's talking about is right on point in terms of experiences, in terms of what we as parents need to be instilling in our children, in terms of our spiritual being, that we are truly spirits in a physical body. And this spirit is only allotted here on the earth for X number of time before it goes back. But a lot of people don't see it that way. And that's what we're talking about this morning. And the driving force behind it all really is love. There's a couple of books that I see have love in the title, This Thing Called Love and Deeper Than Love. And I read that passage that I read in the 6 o'clock hour, that was dealing in love. That is the one unifying force. And there's a force you can't see. It really is. But that is the force that makes the difference. So I am going to do what I need to do again to let you know, share some information with you, do some things for the station and the FCC and all that kind of good stuff. We're going to take this short pause, but do not leave. Do not move. Linda Diane Wattley is on the air with me.
New Jersey, on the radio, 88.7 FM, online, gobrave.org, a tune-in radio station, part of the William Patterson Broadcast Network.
Broadcasting live from Hobart Hall in Wayne, New Jersey.
This is
the innovative.
I think they're really unique.
The fearless.
They have awesome variety.
The kick-ass.
I love Brave New Radio.
The sensational.
I've never heard anything like it.
This is the one and only Brave New Radio.
Straight from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center, here's your local forecast.
Right now we're at 55.7 degrees, working our way up to a high of 72. Partly cloudy early, followed by scattered thunderstorms this afternoon. Rain early tonight, decreasing in clouds. Then tomorrow, Sunday, mostly sunny early, then partly cloudy. High of 60, low of 39. Sunday night, partly cloudy skies. Monday, mostly sunny skies, high of 64, low of 44. On Tuesday, expect considerable cloudiness. High near 70, low of 48, and then on Wednesday a mix of clouds and sun in the morning, followed by cloudy skies during the afternoon with a slight chance of rain showers. Again, high near 70, low of 46. That is the weather brought to you right here by the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. As I said, my guest this morning is Linda D. Wattley. I'm going to share a little bit more information with you, and then we're going to resume with our interview, and fascinating it is. So don't you dare move unless, as I said, you are getting on your social media sites and telling someone to tune in to gobrave.org or WP 88.7 FM.
Thanks, Julie. And coming up next, is there rain in your weekend forecast? We'll find...
Hey.
Hi.
It's been a while. Great place and nice neighborhood. You must have a strong community association board.
Thanks. I guess so, but I don't pay any attention to that stuff.
Seriously? How do you know for sure the board and community manager are making the right decisions to protect your investment?
I don't, but what am I supposed to do?
You can get involved. and connect with CAI.
CA what?
CAI, Community Associations Institute, they're a nonprofit group that has helped us build a great community. They have free resources for your association board, professional training for community managers, and helpful information for homeowners.
Thanks. I'll definitely do that.
Is the time and investment you have made in your home and community protected? Be a smart homeowner and visit CAI at responsiblecommunities.com.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
Yes, we are in an extended version or a Reading Circle doubleheader. I had a guest in the 6 o'clock hour, Munira Warner. And in the 7:30 hour, I have Linda Diane Wattley, and we've been talking about her work since about 7:30 a.m. So, Linda, let's talk a little bit about what each book is about. I see on the cover of this thing called Love. Who are the children on there? It looks like a prom or a birthday party or something.
Actually, that's my son. My youngest son is on that book.
Okay.
His date for the prom.
It is a prom picture. That's what I thought. It looks like a prom picture. So what's that all about, this thing called Love?
That's where I talk about my relationship damages. Because I have graduated. I've escaped from my life. I went into the Army.
All right.
I joined the service, and that's where I start seeing how different I was from everybody. I also start seeing I had some serious issues in communication to have relationships with boys because of the molestation. But you don't connect all of this together right away.
Right.
That this is, why you choose certain people in your life and allow certain things that's lesser of yourself to happen. So I write about my journey of trying to understand love and connecting to another human being, period. And I had issues with females because I was in a step family situation, and that was also a damaging experience for me, too, because I was taken from my mother. So when that phase of my life took place, I was searching for love, trying to understand what it was, what was my role, and what was I to receive. And it was difficult to have healthy relationships because I never witnessed it.
Wow. So, all right. Now, because I'm beginning to see as we talk where all this connect. Because I see, all right, because you said you were in the Army. And then, of course, there's Soldier with a Backpack. So your son was in the military as well. Talk a little bit about Deeper Than Love, because obviously they connect. Because we went from this thing called love, and now we're talking Deeper Than Love. What's that one about?
That's when, the first book of my trilogy is when I was.
Uh-oh, we're fading out. I
believe.
There we go.
Yeah, right. I was like a teenager going into my 20s and near 30s and, 20s. Yeah, and then the last book that I wrote, it was how I was facing life as an adult and the struggles I was having in intimacy with my husband, trying to trust and trying to understand my role and position in life, how to be a mother, how to be a wife, how to be a person in society, because I didn't know what was normal. I had no clue, but I knew that I didn't have the tools to function, to be happy. I was just existing.
Right.
And so I was writing about that journey. And see, then when you get to Soldier with a Backpack, where I talk about PTSD, the chapters is like somewhat from the trilogies, but it's me. It's not me hidden behind characters.
So now we faded a little bit for a time when you were discussing what the first couple books are about. What was Daddy's Girl about?
Now that's when, at the age of 4, I lost my virginity to my father, and I didn't know that's what happened to me that night.
I have more stories on the air of that happening than you would believe. I've heard grandfathers, uncles, cousins, fathers. Absolutely. And each time, it's like I've heard it for the first time. It blows me away. So, okay, so you see, because most people think Daddy's Girl, they think that's like, in terms of that's usually a positive type statement. But I see, Right, exactly. Endearment. Exactly. That's the word I was looking for. Endearment. But yours has like a double meaning.
Yes. Because I actually was daddy's girl because my mom, he was such a bully. He kicked her out of our home. And that's when this change of life took place. I was the only girl they had, and I had 3 brothers. And it was like I went from my bed to their bed. And I didn't understand what was going on, but I just know that I was different in a way that I was closed down. And then when I got into the step-family situation, I was already damaged. And
of course.
And then you're different than these other people in this house. You look different, you talk different, you think different, and you slowly just deteriorate. You surrender yourself because that self is damaged already, and people are attacking you because you're different. So you just become, you say, invisible. My escape was always sleep and hiding from people.
Well, and that's a form of depression. The whole sleep, because people don't realize that sleeping a lot is a form of depression. Because you said it's a way to escape.
It was safe.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. I mean, wow. Oh my God. In terms of what I just said earlier, parents, we have no idea the psychological damage that we do to our children with some of these things that we do. When you have something about an angel, who's on the cover? Is that somebody in the family, or is that a stock photo?
That's actually my granddaughter.
That's what I kind of thought.
Angel. See, that's why I really pretty much don't even deal with those books at all, because somebody else is making money on those books.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
So, when I talk about it, I can talk about it because it's blessing people.
Right.
That's the only way I can find a positive way to accept it. But, something about an angel was that second chance I took on Daddy's Girl.
Okay.
I mean, all the people that I was working with during that time, I was trying to help these young Christian ladies,
right,
get their business together. And I was an older person. I was like a mother figure.
Right.
And they saw that tendency I had to, mother. And, I mean, they took everything.
Wow.
But they just took it. I mean, I gave them 2 different chances, 2 different set of females. And we used to pray together. We used to rebuke the devil together. We used to call ourselves building together. And then once the foundation was established, they just stripped it from me.
Wow.
And see, when you do business online, you're so far away from people.
Right.
That they can just get away with so much. And so I used that platform to create Last Day of Victimization. See, that's another book I wrote to let people know how once you're a victim, the victimization doesn't stop until you become conscious of what's happening to you.
Right. Because, see, that's back to that energy again. That
exactly.
if you have the victim energy, you attract victimization to you.
And experiences kept just changing, going from my dad's bed to the step-family situation, then ruining myself with wrong relationship choices. It just was unending victimization. But I was not aware of what was happening until God revealed it to me, and I was able to reveal it to people what's happening to them and why they are making the choices, decisions they're making.
Well, a lot of times in terms of because it sounds like what got the ball rolling was the whole molestation thing. That's kind of like the whole abuse, the whatever your dad was doing in terms of throwing your mom. Seemed like that kind of got the ball rolling. And where I'm going with that is there is such a thing as generational curses. That the sins or the bad deeds of one generation will now overflow into the next one. So it sounds like some of that could have been going on as well. And I'm not a psychologist. I'm not any of that. But it sounds like some of that could have fit into it. Some of the deeds that other family members have done has now filtered down into the next set.
And see, that's what I'm known as. They say I'm a generational curse breaker.
Oh, well, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it stopped. It stopped in my space because my children didn't come close to any of my experiences.
Right. Well, okay. Exactly. Right. So when it got to you, it impacted you, but you didn't let it go any further.
I stopped it right there because even my brothers, they are damaged. They have PTSD, but they will not own it, and they're They're abusive to women. They're bullies. They push kids around.
Yep.
They neglect children. They do exactly what they
That's
are.
right.
So you could come from the same household, depending on, your acceptance of Christ, I would say, your relationship with God. You will continue to be what's familiar to you. Your vibration is going to draw into itself, and that's what my brothers did, but that's
Absolutely.
not what I did.
I'm not surprised at that at all, because in many instances, because on the surface or just from a common sense perspective, you would think, okay, if I was abused as a kid, I'm not going to abuse. But it doesn't work that way. It's just the opposite. Usually, or in far too many cases, the person who was abused now becomes the abuser. When they become older, they become abusive. And like I said, you would think, but wait a minute, that happened to you as a kid. Why are you doing it to somebody else? That's generally the cycle. Unless, as you said,
no logic.
Right.
There's no logic.
Right. Unless, like you say, you can break it, or you have an experience, like you say, you found Christ, or you found Jesus, you found God, unless you have something that can intervene like that. But I'll bet you that in most people who are abusive, you can trace it back to them having been abused.
Right. That's for sure. In some kind of way, even if it's just mentally.
Oh, yeah, because you just hit on something. There's more than one form of abuse. There's physical abuse, of course, which is like somebody hitting, but there's verbal abuse, there's mental abuse, there's emotional abuse. There's a lot of different forms of abuse, and you can experience one or more of them at the same time, or not even realizing, like with verbal abuse. You could be going through verbal abuse and not even realize you're being abused.
Right. Because you're so conditioned to it,
Yep.
and then one day somebody introduces something positive, something like a touch of love, then you start seeing, oh, my God.
Right.
They don't treat me like that.
Right. And see, again, I tie everything back because I work with kids every day. I tell people all the time, look, you're going to have a hard time believing this. But for a lot of our kids, when they go home, the only thing they are called is some type of derogative name, usually with some type of foul language in it, like little S-head, or you ain't no good, or little N-word, or you ain't no good like your daddy, or all they hear is the negativity. So now when you come to school and someone does say something nice about you, that's why they would gravitate toward that. So in the school that I'm in, I'm constantly challenging, give compliments, say something positive, say something nice, talk lovingly to them, because they may not be hearing that at home. So that goes back to what I was saying a couple of minutes ago. You could be being abused and don't even know it, just from the name calling, or just from how somebody says something to you, or how you're called, or what you're called. And people don't realize it, because everybody always goes toward physical abuse, because that you can see. Somebody step up with a black eye, okay, something went on there. You can see that. But you can't see the mental, the verbal, the emotional. You can't see that. That's that, again, back to that unseen you're talking about.
Right.
So, I mean, wow. I mean, again, I'm one of the things I love about doing this show, I met so many wonderful people over the air. I may not have seen them face to face. Some I have, but I've met so many wonderful people with so many wonderful stories. And when I say wonderful, it doesn't necessarily mean it had to be a positive story, but it was something that happened to the person. And because it did, they were able to bless somebody else. And you fall in that category, that out of everything you went through, you were still able to use it to help somebody else.
Yes, and it's a blessing to be able to do that, and when you know it makes a difference, because people need compensation for what they didn't receive that they should have had normally.
Absolutely. There's a song that says, I'm glad I don't look like what I've been through. And I'm looking at your photo on the Amazon site, and just looking at you, you would never know unless you told it of what you've gone through. And that's a blessing in and of itself.
When you do what God wants you to do, and he really wants his people uplifted on the inside, and he has a path for them to do that, and you are an instrument to bring it to pass, that brings joy to your soul. That's
Right.
speechless. It's priceless. So it's also spiritual renewal for me, because when you share it, it's like it's a purging, unending purging, because you're just an unflowing well anyway. And so when you can communicate what God wants done for his people, you just know that life is worth living.
And for those of you listening, if you were to go to the Amazon site, if you put in Linda's name, Linda Diane Wattley, is Wattley. If you put that in and it pops up on the site, there's a picture of her and a picture of her 5 books. There's the photo of the covers there. If you were to go to that picture and look at her, you would not believe, based on what you just heard, based on the picture that she has there. Very pretty smile. Matter of fact, your smile reminded me of my mom. What you call it? Very pretty smile. And I mean, black is one of my favorite colors, the black dress and so forth. You would not know, looking at the photo, of everything that you just heard her talking about. And that's where God comes into the picture for somebody that may be also struggling with something. Because they'll hear Linda's story and say, okay, I need to have this God that you have. Because if he's able to bring you through that, then he can bring me through. And that really is kind of like the message.
Yes.
It really is.
You know, it was the love that God gave me for my children that taught me what I didn't have. And that was really, really a blessed reality for me, because I said, so I have to go back and get that little girl and give her the love that she didn't have, because I didn't know anything about love until I loved my children.
Right.
So I was able to interpret and to expand in that vibration to mankind, because it came from me going through my children and back out to the world. So that's where I really established my foundation,
and
to understand the power of love.
And even with that, if I heard you correctly, you said you lost 2 sons.
No. I have 2 sons.
You have 2 sons.
My husband.
You lost your husband.
Yes.
Okay.
Father of my children.
Okay, so even with that, there was still loss. I mean, and so you're still going on.
Yeah.
Wow. It is a true testament. We've come close now to the end of the hour. In about 5 minutes or so, I have another segment of the show where we share what's going on in the gospel community. So I know she'll be calling in about 5 minutes or so. But so I'm going to take this opportunity for you to promote. And then just like you heard me tell Manera earlier, you can say anything with the exception of the price. In terms of your websites, how folks can get in touch with you, your telephone numbers, email addresses, the title of your books, any of your upcoming work, if you're doing any book signings, anybody you want to shout out, you have the opportunity to do that now. The microphone is yours.
First of all, I want to say thank you for having me on your show. I feel so blessed to deliver a message God gave me. My most important work today is Soldier with a Backpack, Living and Dying Simultaneously. It reveals the aftermath of all forms of trauma, loss, pain, suffering, PTSD. It joins the civilians and the soldiers together, and it also reveals what God has to say about PTSD and what he has for each individual to get in touch with their inner. And you can get my book at Barnes & Nobles. You can get it on Amazon and Kindle or in paperback. And you can also go to my website, which is www.lindadianewattley.com. And I hope you would get that book and share it with others, because God has a message for his people. He wants them to become conscious of the inner dynamics of his world so that we can walk in this world fearless.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you for working with me in terms of rescheduling so that I could go to my daughter's graduation last week, and I thank you for rising early. Where are you calling out of?
Akron, Ohio.
Oh, so let me see. Are you on East time or are you an hour behind me? Are you on Central time or Eastern time?
Eastern time.
Oh, so you're on. So it's 8:30 there for you as well. Okay, good. Both of my guests are on East time today, because every now and again, more so than not, actually, my guests are calling from the West Coast, and so it's really early when they call, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. So I feel not quite as bad as when it's on the East Coast, even though it's still early. But so I thank you for rising early to join me this morning, and I wish you absolutely nothing but the best. The latest book is Soldier with a Backpack. The other books are This Thing Called Love, Deeper Than Love, Something About an Angel, and Daddy's Girl. And the author is Linda Diane Wattley. That's Wattley. Linda Diane, just like they sound. As she said, if you go to her site, and I know if you go to Amazon, it's there, you have the opportunity to order the books. And I encourage you to do so. Especially, she said, because Soldier with a Backpack is very relevant right now because we have so many soldiers coming back from Iraq, and some are going back over there because this is another one of these wars that seem like it never ends. So
there you go. That's what my point is, too. You just said it. Wow. That's my point. It's like they go from one war to another because of the lovelessness.
Yeah, exactly. Lovelessness is actually right. And as the older I get and the longer that I go through life, I just kind of wonder, it just seems to me, and maybe again, back to this thing, not logical, but it just seems to me it is easier to love and do what's right than it is to constantly keep killing and hating. But it just doesn't seem to be catching on. It seems like we're getting more hateful as we go along instead of more loving.
Yeah. That's because of stress.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It really is. I mean, I watched the news. At one point, I had stopped watching the news and reading the newspaper altogether. I had just flat out stopped. And over the last year or so, I kind of started watching and everything again, getting back into it. But it's like, and I have friends who are newscasters, and I always wonder, how do you constantly deliver this negativity every day?
They thrive on it.
Yes, they do. It's like, I mean, I'm watching it the other day, and they put up this nut in Florida that killed Trayvon Martin a few years ago, talking about he's auctioning off his gun, trying to make money off the gun that he shot Trayvon with. And you have nuts out there bidding on it. I mean, and the numbers that I saw were like astronomical. It got crazy, but I'm kind of like, he's crazy, and the people who are bidding on the gun is crazier.
They're demons.
They really are. And that, I mean, when push comes to shove, that's where we really need to get to. We need to start calling things as they are. You're absolutely correct. That's demonic. It really is. When you look at it and think about it, that's exactly what it is. That ain't nothing but the devil. That's just straight up demonic. It is, because you're bidding on something that was used to take the life of somebody else.
They're connected.
Yeah. Exactly
and
right.
There you go. That's a connection.
It is. So
God's people have to connect.
Yes, bingo. And with
that's the missing link right there.
It really is. It really is. So with that said, Linda, have a wonderfully blessed day. And as I told Manira, the last time I checked, all the recording devices were working. Every now and again, something goes off or awry. But if everything did what it was supposed to do, I will edit it and then send over to you the link for the YouTube page as well as an MP3 link, and you can use it however you choose.
Thank you.
All right. Had a wonderful time talking with you. I wish you nothing but God's blessings.
Bless you also.
Thank you. Take care. Have a wonderfully blessed day.
You too.
All right. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Well, this brings us to the end of a Reading Circle doubleheader. Last week you didn't get none. This time you got two for the price of one. As you heard me say, we didn't come together last week because I was down in Delaware. And the keynote speaker at the Dell State graduation was our Vice President, Joe Biden. And Joe can be long-winded, but I actually enjoyed his words. I mean, people were complaining about when is he going to sit down, this, that, and the other. But he actually was saying some good stuff. He really was. And I enjoyed hearing him speak. The graduation was very good with the exception of near the end, it began to rain some. But you know what? I didn't care what the weather was doing. I was going to sit there until my daughter walked across that stage. It could have been a tornado or a hurricane. I was going to sit there as long as they were going to be out there. And it did start raining, and I did get soaked. I mean, I hadn't been wet in clothes like that for a long time. It's been a long time since I got that wet in clothing. But I did not care because I was going to see her march across that stage to get her diploma because it was well earned. She deserved it. and all the back and forth to Delaware and money spent by me and her mother, we were sitting there regardless of what occurred. And her school happened to be one of the last schools called because she was in the School of Science, Math, and Technology. And for some reason, they put that school near the end. I mean, it fell behind business and the communications and sociology majors and so forth and so on. The technology school, the math, technology, and science school, and that my guess is, and I could be wrong because the business school probably had some challenges as well, but my guess is, knowing how tough it is to get math and science teachers, the math, science, and technology school probably was the most difficult school that they have on the campus. And that's just a guess. I don't know. But I know what it's like to get folks who are in those disciplines. So for some reason, and maybe they work their way up from the least to the most, or the least challenging to the most challenging. I don't know. But that school was the last school called. Or maybe it was from the largest school to the smallest school, because clearly their school had less students in it than the other schools. I don't know what the thinking was behind it, but her school was last. And of course, the rain held up until we got to that particular school. And the rain started pouring heavier and heavier. And as I said, I didn't care what that weather did. I sat there, no umbrella, no overcoat. I sat there in my suit and was drenched. But it did not, cold and shivering and shaking, but it did not stop me from sitting there to see her receive that degree. And again, had a wonderful time because funny enough, I dried off very quickly afterwards because the rain did stop. And as they finished coming across the stage and we were able to gather in the area after graduation, dried off very quickly. So, it was worth the effort. Had a wonderful time. Again, congratulations to you, Niara Simone Medley. She graduated summa cum laude with a degree in information technology. The only thing she needs to do now is find a job. Gloria, is that you? Oh, I guess not. I thought that was Gloria that we put on the line, but I guess that wasn't her. She called in. So we had an extended edition of the Reading Circle this morning. We're going to go ahead. I'll probably talk because we're down to the last 20 minutes or so of the show. Barry is probably coming in, or he'll be here shortly with the Naked Brunch. So I'll probably talk the rest of the time. I'll let you listen to the music for a little bit. And then before you know it, 9 o'clock is here and I'll be out.
Stuck in the same loop with music like this?
Don't believe me, just watch. We got problems, and I don't think we can solve them.
Are you ready for a change?
What do you mean?
I mean tuning into Braveathon, April 22nd at 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
If this tour doesn't kill you, then I will. I hate your guts and it makes me ill. Seeing your face every morning.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life.
Young adults of unique determination and experience, an ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
All right. Glory Hallelujah is on the line with me to let us know what's going on in the gospel community. Glory, what's up? Gloria?
Yeah.
What's going on in the gospel community?
Okie dokie. Well, tomorrow the Kitchen family be having an anniversary over in Newark, and they're going to be having, just had the paper right here. This is the Kitchen family program tomorrow at 5 p.m. United Deliverance Tabernacle at 337 Avon Avenue in Newark. They're going to have Jay Caldwell and Ambassadors, the Red Hot Motivations, the Heaven Diets, and KGT, Steven Singers, the Jimmy Star, and the Golden Lights, that's the little boys, and the Joy Wonders out of New York. That's going to be a beautiful anniversary tomorrow. They're setting up right now. And we're asking everyone to come and enjoy themselves. And just in case you can't get to make it, maybe your weekdays might be pretty good. Well, guess what? They're going to have the Soul Finders on a Friday coming up, and that's May 27th. And this is at St. John's Baptist Church, 525 Bramhall Avenue in Jersey City. Its program starts at 7 p.m., so you got enough time to go ahead and cash the check and come on out and get on over there. They're going to be having the Fantastic Volunteers. They're going to be here. They haven't been here in Lord knows when. And the Swanee Quintet. You know, the head man has gone on, but they're still keeping on. The Rugged Cross and the Glory Boys and Divas Redemption, and that's featuring Paul Smith. And that program's going to be Friday, May 27th. So please get yourself together. Get a pencil and paper. Go ahead and get ready to call me. And that's what's going on right now. Let me see. Now, I got the Kitchen family and the Soul Finders. That's the week's coming up. And let me see. Somebody's June here. Okay. June the 4th. June 11th, I'm sorry. This is down in Bridgeton. They will be getting transportation down there. Bridgeton and senior high school. This is at Northwest Avon, Northwest 111 Northwest Avenue in Bridgeton. They will have the gospel keynotes, Inspiring Hank, the Highlight Juniors, the New Tones of Gospel Singers, and the Gospel Crowns, Bells of Joy. And we got to put my girls in Imperial Gospelettes. Their anniversary is May the 15th, and that's on 37th Virginia Avenue in Jersey City. They will have the Glory Boys, the Shining Stars, Eric McKenzie on that one too, the Sisters of Grace, the Rugged Cross, and the Gospel Sons. Anybody would like to know about any gospel singing, if I don't have it for you, I will try to find it. And just write down my telephone number and give me a call. And my number is 973-523-2295. And I would just like to tell you that one of the Martha Clark girls from the Ambassadors, they was up here.
Really?
This is Martha's daughter. She was up here. I heard about that. I was trying to find her where they had this funeral at Louise. I can't think of her last name, But Louise was one of the members of the ambassadors for Martha Clark, and they just had her funeral.
Okay.
This week just passed here, and I'm trying to find this place, but it was nowhere in Patterson. It was in Passaic at some kind of Bible church or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know about that church, but I was trying to find her, and all of Martha Clark's daughters was up here and everything. I would love to have gotten a conversation with them and to tell them to come on the radio with you or whatever. Just
absolutely.
Remembrance or whatever. And if y'all listen down there in Georgia, I know you probably went back and everything, but call to the radio station. Give them your telephone number.
Absolutely. It's 973-720-2738. So, yeah, that's, wow, they were here.
They were here, and this is their mother's territory.
Right, exactly.
This here at the 88.7.
That's right.
FM. So we don't want to, forget no one, because we had to cross over that bridge in order to get where we are.
That's
a lot
right.
of people have, and that's what made this hit possible.
That's right.
That's why Mark is still on.
That's right.
Because if she didn't bring him in there,
that's
and
right.
Tell me to announce announcements because I didn't have them up there, whatever. She made a way, so we
that's
don't
right.
we don't want to forget the ones that's going on.
Absolutely.
That's a blessing to us.
Yeah, it is. I was saying earlier, did you know Reverend Rowe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed away.
No.
Yes, it was sometime yesterday or this morning. Yeah, so.
Oh, Lord Jesus, we're getting up out of here.
Yes, indeed.
You better get every little kind of dip and dab or whatever these people have for us. Get it all now because, in other words, I'll put it this kind of way. Learn how to cook while your mother's still living.
Absolutely.
Because after that time is too late, how are you going to learn?
That's
everything you possibly can. Be
absolutely.
Like Joe Clark said, grab everything. Be like a crab. Grab everything you possibly can right now because tomorrow might not be here.
That's right.
For you to grab, it might be all taken away.
I went to see Reverend Rowe Thursday. We were at the hospital Thursday. A group of us went up, and he passed away either yesterday or either early this morning, one or the other. But I did get a chance to see him Thursday. And
wow, this is news to me. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it just happened. Like I said, right before I came in, I was looking on my Facebook page and I saw where Reverend Lagarde had posted it, and I saw him Thursday. So I'm glad I got an opportunity to see him that one last time.
Well, thank God Reverend Lassiter is there.
Right.
To take over the thing.
That's
He's doing
correct.
A good job. That's why I say we can't forget these people that's already before us because they made the road.
That's right.
They made the road for us. You might not see it in some kind of way. Oh, they didn't make no road for me. But, it was a road there. And that's
right.
how a lot of us come in through those next steps.
Yeah, you're absolutely
God bless
right.
America. God bless America. God bless America. That we should come together as one and help one another. When you find out something, please let somebody know. I didn't even know they had a big thing there on Broadway where you could come and show your talent, regardless of what kind of talent you had.
Okay.
You could have been a comedian and everything else. Now, this is going to be June the 20th.
Okay, so that's coming up.
Anybody could have joined in that thing there, and they would have been winning $1,500.
Wow.
Cash.
All right now. Everybody can use a few extra dollars.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure.
With your talent and everything. We have a lot of talent in Patterson.
No, we really do.
Don't know about. A lot of people don't know about. Oh, my gosh. But we thank God for just one speaking.
Right.
Take it. Everybody speaking, y'all. Take it around the world.
That's right. That's right.
And share it with one another.
That's right. So, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. You're still in our prayers in terms of your son and everything. And
thank you. I know this got to be God's preparation and everything for a purpose here because we haven't left yet.
Right.
And this was supposed to have been done in November.
Right.
But now it's still procrastinating. I can't understand, but I know it's for a reason.
Yes. And he's still here, and you're still here, so you're right. I mean, it really is. That's what I was just talking about with my guest that was on the line right before you.
I understand this.
Right.
No dentist won't see him around here.
Wow.
No dentist because of his heart condition. I told you he's the oldest boy in the world, born with half a heart. Nobody won't touch him up here. So they're trying to get things organized down there in Philly and then had all the kind of problems but to try to get out of state.
The coverage, yep.
Yes. So I don't have any money to do that. But
right.
But God has every problem, everything that knows how to do it.
That's right.
Fix everything. every little thing. So he's fixing it all, and everything's for a purpose, the procrastination for a purpose. We'll understand it by and by.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll be together next week, God willing. Have a wonderfully blessed week.
Okie dokie.
And again, let everybody know that you know that new Reverend Roll, that he transitioned.
Okie dokie. I will spare the news.
All right.
All righty.
Take care now.
Take care. You too now.
All right. Bye. Yes. Life. It's interesting. Last night I saw an interview with Reggie Jackson. And I was sitting with my wife, and Reggie still looks good. He's older, but he still looks good. I mean, you still know it's Reggie Jackson, but he is older, no question. Same thing with Bernie Williams. Bernie Williams graduated on yesterday or day before yesterday, received his degree in jazz studies or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, but I know it was a music degree because he was at the music school. And Bernie was gray-haired as I don't know. I remember him playing for the Yankees. And when Reggie was playing, I mean, they showed his clips, Mr. October and number 44 and so forth and so on. And now he's older. And so it's like, wow, I remember as a kid watching Reggie Jackson. I remember watching Bernie Williams. I remember so many of the various artists and things who are passing on now. So, again, I just remember so many of the different artists and ball players. You have ball players who are coming into the league. Or I remember ball players when they came into the league who are now retiring. In other words, they've put in 20 years or 25 years into the league, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, whatever. So I remember when they came in as rookies, and I'm seeing them go out as retirees. And it is something. I mean, I was with some friends last week at the graduation, and they said their oldest son was 35. And I remember when the kid was born. And they said, yeah, little Kenny's 35 now. I said, 35? Life. It's moving along. Folks are passing. Folks are